I'm pretty sure Cut Off the Beginning is the name of his porno.
I thought it was just a tip.
Welcome to Turn Extension, a supplemental podcast for the Advanced Maneuvers YouTube channel.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Turn Extension. My name is Tony, or Polar Bear Cub on the forums.
Hey everybody, it's Kevin.
Hey everybody, it's Devin, Cutthroat Cure on the forums.
And this is Gaston.
Alright, so we just had another week of CID drop. This is actually the final week of Crucible Guard dropping, which they had some minor updates. I know, I'm kind of excited.
No one cares.
Hey,
I legitimately, I'm not going to take Gaston's stance. I actually am excited for the people who are excited about Crucible Guard, but I'm so fucking done hearing about Crucible Guard.
I'm going to be honest with you. I've downloaded the entire PDF and I haven't read any of the Crucible Guard rules.
What?
Updates.
You don't need to. Tony gushes over them over text.
No, like the actual updates
excited.
that came out today, I have no idea what they changed because I read none of it. Because there's only 4 pages on that damn thing that matter anymore.
That is very true. And that's actually probably what we'll jump into right now is that, so addition to the Crucible Guard ending, they also came out with the 15th anniversary Journeyman Warcasters. They came out with four Warcasters of the Journeyman, so Kane 0 for Signar. You got the Negra 0 for Crix, Severia 0 for Protectorate, and Sorsha 0 for Kador. So what's another small thing, so this is testing for 2 weeks, so it's going to end on 4/20 is the Journeyman Journeyman testing. So it's a good day for everyone, just calm, relax, and just chill.
Is it, do you think it's a coincidence that they chose the day that Super Troopers comes out as the day for this to end?
You know what? I'm not sure, but I just saw the preview come up as well for Super Troopers, so it might be that they just want to have a good day afterwards.
What are the 4 junior casters, the Super Troopers?
Sweet mother of God.
You got to play them right meow.
Right, meow? Alright, so let's...
Does Kane have an attack type called Snozberries?
Well, the snozberries do taste like snozberries.
The irony is, of course, that the Journeyman thing ends on 4/20.
Does that mean that Sorcerer Zero's stuck with a feat called Hey You Bear Fucker?
I think I need.
I'm pretty sure Bearfucker is just going to be the name of her animus.
That's actually her. That's her weapon before she gets Fang or whatever it's called.
So one thing I'm going to say about the Journeyman before we even get into talking about what may or may not be absolutely bullshit broken.
Wait. Let me take a stab at it. I want to take a guess. Can I?
No, go.
You want to vent about the fact that you don't have a Trolls Journeyman.
Nope. That's not even it.
Okay. What is it?
You couldn't be. So I think it's kind of funny, and you can shoot me down if you think that I'm, off key. But I think it's kind of interesting that we have these surprise Journeyman casters that are coming out right on the heels of Steamforge's Journeyman players coming out at the same time.
Huh,
Does it help that these Journeyman casters feel super rushed?
Yeah, I'm going to say, when we had the 15-year anniversary of Warmachine, and I mean the 10-year and 10-year coming up, it was really cool because we got the 10-year, special edition. And that was pretty cool, and there was a lot of talk, and we waited to see what was in it, and I thought that was really exciting. Then today, out of nowhere, I just see, this literally shotgun of information about these new Journeymen for the 15-year, and I was completely taken back and surprised. Couldn't believe what I was reading. Had no idea where they even came from. Why are we seeing Kane 0? Why are we hearing about all these people? And I remember that just within the last week, I was talking to somebody else who plays Guild Ball, and they were telling me about how excited they were that they were doing, Journeyman, young versions of some of the players. And I was like, oh, that's an interesting idea. And then this shotgun blast. So I don't know if it's meant to be the same, but it feels a little bit too coincidental.
I don't know, because when I saw it, I was thinking that this was something that was coming off of the heels of that new. It's not a journeyman league. It's
The first shot or something, whatever it's
yeah,
called.
first shot. It's this new thing where it's like this. I don't want to. It's a narrative, but not narrative. Where basically, you can have a parents bringing their kids to learn Warmachine, and you've got these quote unquote kids who are the 0-level players who are going to be playing with these 0-level casters that they're going to be playing with.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was where it originally came off of, was this like, hey, here's this first shot little narrative event, and on the heels of first shot we've got these casters at their 0 level, and my guess is, if I'm just going to throw a dart at the wall, my guess is that they'll be available shortly after the first shot, which would put it somewhere near the Warmachine weekend time frame.
So they did state that these models are going to be out at some point. They're not all going to come out at the exact same time. They're going to come out throughout the course of the year, available at conventions to start. So you might see some showing up at Lock and Load, and throughout the rest of the year, possibly some more, and then possibly the last one ending at Warmachine Weekend. My guess would be Sorsha, because she doesn't even have concept art yet. So just throwing it out there.
So then I guess next year we would see the Journeyman, we would see the 0 Hordes versions, I assume?
Well Hordes did
doing
come out
15 years, it's like, what, 3 years from now?
3 years from now.
That'll be like 2021.
Well, no, because I thought, didn't they do, so when they did the 10-year, the first year we had the 10-year of the, what do you call it? We had the 10-year box that came out with Butcher 3.
Butcher 3.
Wasn't the next year Chromac 2?
I believe
I'm
was
pretty
actually,
sure it was,
yeah. I think it was the next year was Chromac 2. But Hordes did not come out until later. It was about 3 years difference.
I'm not putting a bet on when the Hordes thing came out. I still owe Tony $1.
Are you sure you don't want to bet, man? I mean, because we could bet what your next army's going to be.
Nope.
Kevin, I'm going.
I'll mail you my $1.
Nah, come on, man. Let's up it.
So I hear what you're saying, Devin, and I'm always one to subscribe. There's no such thing as coincidence. But my first reaction wasn't that it was Guild Ball, which I knew about the Guild Ball thing from Solus. My reaction was more from perspective of, oh, this is on the, because they literally just put up the first shot announcement on Privateer Press on their insider articles.
Yeah, so mine was actually the exact same, because I was going through final week CID, and I was like, okay, let me read what's going on, and I saw a thing for Menoth and one for Kador, and I was like, Sorsha 0 and Sevi 0. I was like, that's really strange. What's going on? And then I backed out of it, because I didn't open up the PDF. And then I went and looked at, because if you look at the notes for week 5, they never stated anything about the Journeyman Warcasters being in there. So then I actually went back and I looked at the first look stuff, and I was trying to go through that, and I was like, well, I don't see where any of these casts are. And after going back and forth, finally I was like, let me click on the PDF, and I found out the very backside of those 4 models.
So for clarification, because we're not betting, February 12th, 2014 is when Butcher 3 was released, and then September 22nd, 2015 is when Chromac 2 was released for the 10-year anniversary.
Which is strange, because Hordes, it says Hordes years active was 2006 to present for Hordes. And I remember Hordes coming out around that time, whenever I started getting into the game.
Well, I know that it didn't come out 2016 because that was my first lock and load.
Right.
And that's when MK3 came out, and that was the year after Chromac 2.
Correct. So, I don't know.
So, maybe they tried to do it. Maybe they fudged it a little bit. Maybe they were like, oh, this was when we developed it. I don't know. Who knows what they're deciding on that. But I would be very surprised if they're going to wait that long to release it, because looking at some of the rules for these new guys, they're going to be very, very strong, and I think that's going to be a detriment to any other faction that doesn't feature these bad boys.
I mean, that's true, but then again, that's also saying then that means that Convergence, Crucible Guard, Grimkin, Mercenaries, and Minions will suffer as well because they won't have anything comparable to that.
which they've done for years.
I'm just saying.
Suffered? Yeah.
Suffer.
Yeah, exactly. It's not like it's not exactly like they look at them like real factions.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the scenario that if this is the first shot thing and I take my son to go do this first shot event with him, I can hand him a Kane Zero and be like, look, son, this is a guy before he became a drunken bastard.
That's true. But it is definitely not the first shot one. These are normal models that are going to be in the out on general release. These are not tied to the first shot.
Now,
Um,
could
And also,
this-
wouldn't that be Tony Zero?
That is true.
Now,
David,
could
he already knows Uncle Tony.
Yeah, I'm definitely interested by this because it's very similar, in my opinion, to when they released when we got the epic versions of our journeyman casters. Remember?
Mm-hmm.
We got kind of the announcement they were all coming, and then they kind of got a tiered release. We saw Bird Lady, Una. Released at Warmachine weekend, and Horgul, released before that. So it was like, I would be very surprised if they didn't do it the same exact way. It just always sucks because, that's just kind of rough to, play one of the, play Hordes and go, well, I've got at least a year's worth of waiting before I even get mine.
It's not going to be the first time, and I doubt it will be the last time. There's as much as we would love to get all of our models when we want to, they're still a business, and they still have timetables and financial balancing that they have to do.
So why don't we actually talk about the models themselves? How about that?
About damn time.
Which one of these lovelies are we going to start with?
A guest on. Why don't you choose? Why don't you choose who we should talk about first?
I just kind of go in the order that they're in the PDF.
So that would be.
I personally haven't seen the models. I've only seen the concept art.
That's all they
three
have.
of them.
They only have
okay.
concept art for the three.
Like, didn't Dallas post that he was literally asked to do one of the sculpts yesterday? I think that was a Facebook post.
I don't think because he doesn't do the sculpts. That would be Ron, or Ron handles the whole sculpting side. So maybe he meant like paint it, maybe get it painted. I don't know. I didn't see that.
That would make me a whole lot more hopeful.
Yeah, because they wouldn't, because Ron Cruz handles all of the sculpting side of Privateer Press. He's the sculpting manager. So...
Cool. All right. So Journeyman Lieutenant Alistair Kane is the very first warcaster they bring up. So it's Kane 0, so he's still speed 7. He only has a rat of 7, so I believe his Kane 1 should be a rat 8. So he has a 1 point less of rat. His armor is a 13, and his defense is 15. So not too bad. He only has 4 focus. He has a really cool ability called hip shooting, which is when the model hits an enemy model with a ranged attack, it can advance up to 2 inches after the attack is resolved, which I think is cool. It gives him some movement ability. He has 2 weapons. They're only range 10, power 10, so it's not the storm spell pistols. It's just normal mage-like pistols, and he has 3 different shots with it. Now, the 2 crazy things that he has, probably the most broken thing is snipe. He has snipe on his model, which is really powerful, and to pretty much have snipe on a stick. I equate it to, there was a league back in Mark II where pretty much everyone got an alternate version of one of their models. Now, one thing that came of it was we finally had the Black Dragons for Khador, and that eventually became a model. For Signar, it was an alternate version of the Journeyman Warcaster, where instead of Arcane Shield, they got Far Strike. And that was awesome. And during that time, I figured that we would never be able to get anything like that on the stick. But lo and behold, we have the potential to have Snipe that could go across really any army at this point, because he's allowed to be in Heavy Metal, and he's allowed to be in the Sons of the Tempest theme.
What faction is this again?
This is Signar.
Oh, okay, continue.
Oh, all right. What were you about to say, Devin?
I don't know why you're surprised. We're talking about Sigma, right?
I think he's making a rich getting richer reference.
So the other cool ability he has is Spirit Door, which allows him either to teleport to a Warjack in his battle group, or he can teleport the Warjack back next to him. It's 3 focus, so it's very, very expensive for him to use. It uses all but one of his focus points.
When this
So
isn't this
he's a 4 focus?
He's a 4 focus, yeah. All of them are 4 focus except for Sevi. Sevi is 5 focus.
Isn't the Spirit Door and him just kind of them doing a nod to the fact that every version of him's had some sort of, like, I've activated teleport away type effect?
Yep, yeah. And, I mean, because that's always been his whole stick. He's always had some type of teleporting. Personally, I think this one is really awesome. I would almost prefer this over his Kane 3 version of teleport, which only moved 2 inches. This is pretty cool.
Yeah, but also he's got shot types too, right?
He does have shot types. He has Black Penny, Thunderbolt, and Trick Shot.
Which almost makes me wonder if, like, I mean, setting aside snipe on a stick, having shot types on somebody who has boosting abilities and stuff like that, am I wrong in thinking that maybe he would be just a good solo, period?
Yeah, I think he's a good solo in general. He's a very strong solo, period.
So if they were to, if the CAD were to trim Snipe, because currently right now Snipe has some big issues with how it impacts turn 1 sequencing, and Herman can take through the steps of that because I'm still not 100% following it. If they trim that back, he's still good because of the shot types.
I still like him. I don't think he'll be as readily taken without having snipe, which is not a bad thing. Because I think the model itself it's pretty decent. He's 5 points, so he's pretty aggressively costed. 5 points is a lot for a model, especially because it's one that has to take a Warjack as well. So if you just take a Firefly, you're looking at spending 13 points for him.
No, he has to take a.
He's a battle group commander. You have to take a Warjack with him.
Yeah, you have to have a Warjack of some kind. He'll get add the a cheap Sentinel or something like that. But I'd like to point out, Tony, he's not 5 points. He's free in theme.
Well, how about this? He's at least 8 points in theme. Because even if you get him free, you still have to you have to pay for at least a Firefly.
A Jack, correct.
Yep.
That you were going to probably take anyways.
That you could potentially take, because there's a lot of times I would still want that Jack to be on the caster or something. I necessarily don't. I mean, I think he's really good with the Jack because you have because you have the Spirit Door, so you're gonna want to have a Jack to do it. I really like the idea of having a Minuteman because a Minuteman could walk forward, he could jump around, do all this stupid stuff, and then Kane spends 3 focus to bring him right back to where Kane was. So he is like a yo-yo.
I'm honestly not trying to be negative about it. Like I'm trying to be open-minded with what's going on here.
Right.
I just think it's I think it's just super interesting that this is just something that, this is really, I would almost like it, like something you said earlier, Tony, really kind of stuck out to me. You said that he's not going to basically be an auto pull. He's going to be, something that, you're going to have to make a decision on. And I thought that should be why you pick things. It's a little bit of give and take. And I think that's the part where I think that we know that he's too strong, is that as soon as you say, oh, if he does this, he's no longer an auto take, well, then that says to me, all right, then that's what we need to do, because you don't want an auto take. You want a fair model that is checks and balances.
Right.
At least,
No,
in my
and I completely agree with you. And I think that's where snipe is probably a little bit too powerful. So if no one has paid attention online, which I'd be if somehow you did not know what the thing is, top of turn 1 in heavy metal, you have the potential to have a defender shoot 40 inches across the table.
So this is the Sloan again.
This is kind of the Sloan again. Yep, this is
Mark Sloan.
Yep, because
he actually does it in multiple lists. Sloan is just one of them.
Well, Sloan is just one of them. Well, I'm saying specifically with Haley 2, right? Haley 2, he does it really well with. And
what I'm saying is we got to already experience this when Mark III released the Sloan. That's what I meant, is as soon as Mark III released, we had Sloan shooting people when they just, dipped their toe out.
Yep.
Good news, she can do it again now.
Yep, well, yeah, she could do it again. And honestly, I would wait till turn 2 to do it, because then you could waterfall snipe between 2 different defenders if you really wanted to.
Honestly, why would you not do it on turn 1? It literally is such a long range that your opponent's not going to have any counterplay. There is no downside to doing it.
I'm going to say hashtag why not both? Do it on turn 1 and do it
do
on
it
turn
every
2.
Well, yeah,
turn. And
you
it's
do it
just
every
all it's
turn.
going to do is piss off Kevin when you do it.
That's true, because if you do it on defender, because anyways, to explain it really quick, if people don't know, if you get first turn, you normally 7 inches up the table edge. With heavy metal, you get an additional 2 inches, so you get to 9. You take a defender and so the way you need to do this is you need to have Haley 2, you need to have the Trencher Journeyman, you need Kane 0, and you need a defender that is in the Trencher Journeyman, because he has firing group, so he can take your range 16 up to range 18. And then Haley can telekinesis the Warjack 2 inches forward, and then can also temporal accelerate him for an additional 2 inches forward. He gets 2 inches of speed, and he can get an additional shot. If you put snipe on him, then with his 5-inch speed, that's where he gets the entire 40 inches. And he can shoot twice on this turn, because temporal acceleration is a thing. So yeah, it's very powerful. Which
You're also skipping the hunter becomes range 20.
And I almost wonder if the quick fix scenario to it is just making the snipe spell that Kane has, and I don't know if it exists already, but basically some sort of like only his battle group snipe.
I mean, you'd have to create a whole new spell just for him, which I feel like they kind of did already with that spirit. Well, no, I guess Spirit Door is already on Kaya.
Yeah, I was gonna say technically it's a horde spell, but
yeah. So
yeah, they just did exactly what they had said they weren't going to do when they changed editions.
Which is what?
It was Road to War and Warpath are the same spell now.
Oh.
And they said that because there's a Warjack version and a Hordes version, they're going to have different names.
Yeah, but I mean, trolls, we keep having all of our spells just basically stripped off and given to War Machine options anyway, so we just don't have Spirit Door right now, thankfully.
It's a scenario of it's called Spirit Door in CED. They could easily fix that to be something else. I mean that's
isn't Spirit what who else has Spirit Door? It's not Maylock, is it?
Kaya 1.
I know Kaya 1 has Spirit Door.
I thought one of the Gators had Spirit something because of the ghost thing.
They have a lot of spirits, but not Spirit Door.
Okay.
So
they're basically like reptilian cheerleaders.
It's like that'll be on Yaga 2.
Possibly, yeah. So,
I've got teeth. How about you?
So anyways, getting back to what we were talking about. So I personally really like Kane. I think he's very cool. I do think that Snipe is probably too overpowered. Some things I thought about was putting Far Strike on him because it's too focused. But then again, that then gives him the ability to cast that out to 2 different models, which is probably still just as broken, if not more broken.
I was going to say it's more broken.
That's a strict buff.
It's the reason why I'm arguing why it's not a buff is because that means Kane has to be very close to the models to
you mean
be
6
able to
inches?
cast it out. 6 inches, that's pretty close.
That's literally the same range as Snipe.
Yes, but you can then cast it out, and then if you really want to, you could cast it out the once, and you stay back the rest of the time. You don't have to worry about it. Also, Snipe can go out to an entire unit, where Far Strike is a single model.
Hey, here's a recommendation. Why don't you just take the max range of your 2 guns that you're both going to Far Strike plus 6 inches and just stay out of range of anything?
That's true. Actually, and Far Strike, I believe, is only it's a self-cast now, so it's not a model/unit.
Oh, yeah. You can snipe yourself. Good luck.
I mean, it could be something that could change. I mean, people would be really upset, but it still gives him, at least him, a ranged shot.
They wouldn't change Far Strike because that has impacts on so many other Hordes factions.
No, I'm not saying to change it. I'm saying that just if they give him Far Strike.
Why don't they just make it like, because the issue that he can even get it off in general, or is it the how many he can get it off?
It's the fact that he can get it off, I feel. The fact that he can cast it, giving additional 4 inches to a ranged shot, is very, very powerful, mixed with a lot of other casters that can give 4 inches of movement some other way.
Hey, Devin.
Now, my
23-inch threat range on the Storm Striders.
Yeah, fuck that. My
There's
question
your
is,
answer.
yeah, because if he's given snipe, Far Strike would be much better, I think, for him, because then at least he can shoot. Or maybe if they made up a special like star ability that he could do, where he gives instead of plus 4 inches, maybe plus 2 inches.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be much better, because then he's only casting it on one person. He has to do it within so far, and then then you've got that risk and reward, and then you don't have snipe being thrown around like it's candy.
I think it's definitely going to be something that they're going to have to figure out. Snipe's not the right answer for what I think they're trying to go for. Or if it is, they're just blatantly like, we need to give more range to Signar, in which case, why?
Well, if you remember back 9 months ago, they already tried doing this on a Journeyman Warcaster and pulled it for being broken. So I don't know why we're going through this again.
If you do not succeed, try again.
It might be. It might, but it might also
be. Doing this again.
It might be something because, one of the things of the CID is that they're trying to get us to kind of look at maybe things that they missed. And while we saw this on the old Journeyman, which is true, maybe with some of the changes they've made since we did that, they, are trying to see the interactions. I don't know. I don't choose the CID program. I just try to be a little bit more optimistic.
They've made no changes to Signar since the Trencher CID, and it just wastes people's time to release things that are already broken. It's sloppy, and it makes you look like a fool.
Maybe they release it to get people excited.
Has it succeeded?
I was going to say, that's been achieved. People are
people to notice.
I was going to say, people are making a lot of noise. I don't know if it's the right noise, but people are making a lot of noise.
Do you think that this could be something that increases the amount of people that are participating in this CID? Because it really does seem that whenever we have a controversial rule, they get a lot more people that are working on the actual testing of it. So maybe they use something like this as a ploy to get more people to actually play games and report.
Yeah, I don't know. That seems a bit of a stretch for something that is like, it's one of those situations where if this was controversial and then there was like 50% of the people were for it and 50% of the people were against it, then maybe I could see your argument. But when they launch it and literally the entire forum is going, I don't get it. Like, I think you might have, that's not your ploy. If it is, you way overshot.
Yeah. All right. Let's jump on to the next caster, which next one is Sevi 1, or Sevi 0, I mean.
Sevi 0, the slightly less old Sevi.
Exactly.
McDaddy is not going to have any interest in him.
So he
only chases the oldies.
Well, so he's a Focus 5, which is really good. So he's the highest focus out of any journeyman we've ever seen. He has Eye of Menoth, so while in this model's control range, which is so 10 inches, friendly faction models gain +1 to attack and damage rolls. That's really powerful, because now all of a sudden...
It's the ability that everybody loves about Sevi, now available to all the casters.
Exactly. And I believe that's a +1 to attack and damage rolls, even if you're casting spells, correct? Because that's not it's not limited to melee or range attack. That's any attack and damage.
It is any model.
And
so
it is,
the battle
friendly
engine,
model, your battle
anything.
Engine, warjacks, that's so powerful. And he has ocular vision. So once per turn, if this model is directly hit by an attack, it can immediately spend 1 focus point to not suffer the attacks. And that's not even including his spells, just to let you know. So his spells are Immolation, Mystic Wards, and Road to War. Road to War is possibly the weakest one on his spell list. Because
Incorrect.
I would only say it because you only have 5 focus, so you're not going to be... Are you really going to be bringing a lot of warjacks with him?
I don't know. Do you like to have range 15 Reckoners?
That's true, because that's how you get range 15 Reckoners.
I mean, you can get up to, if you go out of theme, you can take Fire Salvation and get up to range 17. Threat range
Ooh,
17.
range 15 Reckoners.
Threat range. Threat range. Additionally, you're taking those with casters that do boundless charge, such as Durst and Epic Resnick. Well, now if you're scared of Epic Resnick before, he's +1 to attack and damage rolls. But also, they're going to be stacking, you can get Fire Salvation up to POW 23 pretty easily with Intercessor Krios.
I've all of a sudden had a brain fart. Journeyman casters, their jacks still benefit from power up, right?
Yep,
Yes.
they do.
Oh, yeah, of course you're going to take Reckoners on them.
No, I mean, the other thing you can do is you can take Repenters on them, so that way they are Rat 6, POW 15, and when they kill a model with the spray, they can back up. 3 inches.
Repenters, the other R, Jack.
Yeah.
Take 2 Redeemers, make them fully fueled, and he can sit on 1 for ocular vision.
So, I mean, what happens is none of the other journeymen break things the way that Kane do, but what they do is they basically trash value in the game in the sense that these are all solos. You're going to be taking them themes. You're going to be taking them for free. How many things are you stacking on a free model compared to every other free model? And that's the thing. Is it okay for there to be a free model in your list that has +1 to attack and damage rolls for literally everything in the army? That's all you have. That's the question that you're asking here. I think that's bad. I mean, you have a lot of issues where they had made specific changes going from Mark II to Mark III, where they said the Journeyman Warcaster in Mark II limited design space. We made fun of them a lot for design space because guess what? They were really bad at it, and they're not really showing much in the way of improvement. In the sense of, well, we had this guy, he had too many universal buffs, so now we're going to restrict it down. Now you have to take Warjack, and now all the juniors are going to be focused on their own battle group. Well, you've blown up all those lessons learned when you're going into this, and now you are once again restricting your fucking design space.
Let's be honest, though. Privateer Press, with all of their CIDs, since the earlier ones, I feel have been very, very toned down, and I feel like the changes that have happened in the process have been very decent. And I mean, I look at Crucible Guard because listening to the Fat Fest that came from Tony concerning both Locke and the other tank lady, McKay.
My point is that you have like Locke, you have McKay, you have Eilish, you have things that should obviously not be in CID. These are supposed to be professional game designers who you are paid to reach a level of balance without the community needing to reel them back in from stupid ideas. Is the free Sevi equivalent of all the other free solos? No, absolutely not. The free Sorsha. The Sorsha's not broken, but guess what? You're now going to take a free model that's going to give everyone concealment, it's going to give everyone immunity to knock, or the Winter Guard immunity to knockdown, and hand out 2 balance charges a turn when you need them. I mean, a model doesn't need to break the game to be unhealthy for the game. And for all the hashtag design space that they were jumping in on, they're doing the same mistakes that they did 2 years ago.
Now, do you believe in any world that these, like, we know for 100% fact these are going to be available in the main game, right? Not like some, like, secondary Company of Iron version, correct?
Listening to the dev talk yesterday, these will be normal models that are in the game. These are not limited to a league or anything special. These are models that are going to be fully released in the game.
Because if you told me these were for Company of Iron, I would almost be like...
You can't have Journeyman Casters in Company of Iron. You can't have anything with a battle group.
Okay. Yet.
Yeah, Kevin.
I mean,
yet.
As soon as they introduce the ability for you to take things with a battle group, then you're playing Warmachine.
Well, you have the Jack Marshalls and the Beast Mistresses.
They're not battle groups.
I mean, it's, the critters attached to them, like a puppy dog.
Truth.
So it's. I think it's not battle group. I think it's you can't have anything with a focus stat. But these are definitely for the game. I have no doubts about that. I can see Gaston's point though. Like, it almost feels like these weren't. So I wanted to. What was the one we just went through? CID, was it the Legion one where they came out and it was like week 1? They're like, here's the Legion CID, and everybody went, Yeah, that's about right. You know, there was a couple tweaks here and there and stuff like that. Is it
Yep.
Legion that I'm thinking of?
That was Legion. Everybody was like, "Yep, makes sense. We're good."
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's like that is how I think the CID is supposed to be, or has been pitched as, you know, we've done the legwork and now we just want the community as our proofreaders, if you will. That does not fly in the face of what was released with the Warcasters. There are very clear issues with them.
I'm pretty sure Kador was pretty relatively easy. Like, I know they were talking about it, and there's a little bit of changing with, like, the Man of War and the heroes, but for the most part, I'm pretty sure that also Kador was pretty simple one, too.
You're missing out on those guys who are clearing all the infantry and killing heavies.
Yeah, the heavy Man of Wars were something that needed tweaked, but ideally,
I think there
in
was
that
something like
situation,
Rat 7 and all their attack rolls were boosted, something like that.
yeah, I think in that situation that was potentially a missed, but I don't. Again, we don't know PP's intent. We don't know how they came about it, but it just these things are really heavy, and I think they're going to need a lot of modifications. Otherwise, they're going like as they are right now. I can't think of any of these four that you aren't like, if I can take it in my theme, I'm always taking it.
Denegra is probably the closest one to balanced. And think about that for a second. The one who can apply Parasite in Crix in any list is the one or any caster.
The Zerkova one isn't much stronger than the one that Kador already has with Markov.
My problem with them is, like I said, it's value, because all solos are free. You're going to fill up your army with worked things, and then you're going to take your solos as part of your free things. So you have a conflux of abilities on a model that should not be free. It does not matter that Sevi costs 6 points. It doesn't matter they cost 8. It doesn't matter they cost 10. And this is a corner that they have backed themselves into. So if you remember way back in the beginning of Mark III, Lanissa was in every single list. And they're like, Lanissa is too popular, this is oppressive, we're going to make her from 3 points to 4 points, that way not everyone's taking Hunter's Mark. So now you have a 4-point Sorsha who puts out Boundless Charge twice, which is Hunter's Mark plus, in addition to the other 3 abilities that she's bringing.
Didn't they do the same thing with Alton?
Alton actually went from 5 to 6 points. And they also had to nerf the Colossals and Gargantuans, or buff them, so that way his shot didn't affect them.
Which I was happy with, very happy with. That was bullshit.
And it's fine that they did that, but you see there's no longer any correlation to the cost of a solo.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think fixing the points is going to fix, or is going to prepare these for public release. I think it's the rule. Like the Sevi one may be very similar to the Snipe thing, is that, you know, if the Eye of Menoth is delimited to just his battle group.
And that's where I disagree with their design team all the damn time. But that's one of the things that they did right, which was focusing them inward. That lets you do more powerful and interesting things, but contain it, and so it doesn't overflow and become an issue with, hashtag design space. Should the Busher get Boundless Charge? Should everything in Protector get +1 to hit, +1 to damage?
Well, I think the other thing is I'm kind of curious why they stepped away from like the Horgel and the Una junior casters, where it was, here's a junior caster with some decent stuff to it, but we're going to restrict what you can actually take with them.
It really makes me wonder why we have to go back to Journeyman in general. We have so many possible characters that could use a second iteration that it's boggling. And why we have to go now into the zeros, I mean, that's just kind of, in my opinion, annoying. And we're causing all these issues, as Herman, and I 100% agree with Herman in absolutely every sense of the word, that,
that must hurt.
Not really.
I've heard Herman's a pretty smart guy.
Yeah, he makes Gaston makes some pretty good points, because I mean, there is no reason that we need some of these rules to be faction wide. I mean, how many times have we played and been like, oh God, Parasite, it's so gross. Thank God, insert BS caster here doesn't have it. At least it's, I know what to expect. Now it's like, oh, you're playing Goreshade, Parasite. Oh, you're playing Terminus, Parasite. And that's just, it's just rough.
And their explanation for the balance is that we pulled iconic things from the faction that already exists. So it should be balanced because it already exists in the faction and it doesn't break anything, so it should be good to go. Where you're not looking in the conflicts of it only exists in certain combinations. And that's why I really question how much testing actually got done with this, if it wasn't, some lazy game design going on. And I only think that one of the solos is mechanically broken, which is Kane. So, and it's not the end of the game. The world, you can play around them. It's okay. But is it healthy? And should it exist?
The Sevi is really, really, really strong too.
Yeah, Sevi is borderline broken as well.
He's strong. I wouldn't say he's broken, and the only reason why it's because, like was presented with the evidence before with Kane, is that Sevi is not going to give you that I haven't done anything yet and I've already lost insert model A. Because
yeah, but
you activated first.
With the stuff, I agree with you there, Kevin. I just definitely, to quote one of my favorite readings that I've read today was that, Sevi is a god, because he's
a god 80 years from now.
It's just crazy. Like, it's just, I don't know. I just can't handle the idea of Resnick 2 having any more, stuff to throw out at people, because, like, I still have nightmares about playing against Resnick 2, and to think that he could have even more, is just like, it's not a game that I look to enjoy.
I think of all the Menoth casters, Resnick 2 is not the one that's going to most benefit from Eye of Menoth and his entire battle group.
He actually runs the correct theme for it, so. And he is the one who can maximize Road to War. Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know.
I guess I'm just going to have to play test it with Devin.
Like, legitimately, I saw somebody make a comment of oh, well, now this makes Malekith playable. And I was like, actually? Like, that's not too far off.
So let me ask you. So we've got Denny. So we have Denny, Sevi, Kane, Sorsha.
That's it.
Anyone else?
Nope.
There's just
those
4.
So nobody for Rhett?
Nope. No, Rhett didn't come out until Mark II.
Rhett's not a real faction.
Rhett came out even later than fucking Hordes.
Yeah, but they're not doing. I'll be honest with you, they're not doing the 10 years. 15 years of certain factions. They're doing the 15 years of Warmachine, and whether or not they are, they came out later, they're still, a real faction, Warmachine, in my opinion.
I would totally support the 10 years of Retribution.
One of the things that I wanted to, before I lost sight of it, because I had the memory of goldfish.
I thought you were making a joke.
No, that wasn't a blind joke. That was a memory joke. But thanks for being a jerk. You jerk.
Sorry, you said
hey, it's okay. Kevin's got oracular vision.
I don't have any.
Spend a focus and shrug it off.
I think the zero thing, the why are we doing a zero, we're doing a new thing, is legitimately just, hey, look, it's a special thing that doesn't exist in the game that is a benchmark of our 15th year. And I legitimately think that's the only reason why we're doing a zero.
I don't really care about any of that, because it could just be Scrutator, Potentate, Snape. It just change the name, change the model. It doesn't really...
Did you just make a Harry Potter reference next to a potato reference?
He does
Maybe.
think half the Menoth casters are potatoes, so...
That's actually true as well. And I could see half of them being in, like, teachers in Harry Potter.
Continue. I just couldn't let that one go.
And it was technically a Minions joke, not a potato joke.
All right, so we kind of just jumped into the last two. So that's kind of what our thoughts are, I feel like, right?
Well, the Zerkova one is the one that I was looking at, and I immediately pulled up Malkov's junior version of him, And like their stat lines are relatively simple. Both are 4. He's at a 14-13. I think she's at a 14-14 or something to that effect. They both have a gun. They both have a sword. And then spell-wise, she's got Boundless Charge. He's got Redline. And then she's got Fog of War. I don't necessarily agree that I don't know. Like Malikov doesn't see a lot of table in his junior version. Hell, he doesn't see a lot of table in his caster version. I don't know if is a extra Boundless Charge and Fog of War really tilting? Probably. I mean, it's not tilting, but is it going to always be taking? Maybe not.
I think you're underestimating Boundless Charge.
I think there's a lot of casters who already have Boundless Charge, so it becomes redundant.
That's the one argument, but there's a lot of casters who don't have Boundless Charge because perhaps they shouldn't.
And now they have access to Boundless Charge. Butcher 3.
Also, I'm
Butcher 3
surprised people haven't talked about Supreme Commandant Urisk with her, because he gives everyone tough, and then she gives them all immunity to knockdown.
And do
you want to have a whole army of tough, immune, knockdown, concealment?
Yeah, I'd take Irisk too.
And I'm actually kind of surprised also that it's kind of fun. You're talking about Malikov. If you actually take her with Malikov, the caster one, then all of his warjacks can get +4 inches on their threat ranges.
I mean, you could do that with the juniors. If you take the junior and you take somebody in Malikov's battle group, he gets Redline, and then you Boundless Charge the same Redline Jack.
Well, Malikov cannot take Malikov.
That's true.
No, but you could take Butcher 1 with Malikov and Sorsha 0, and now you've got a Furied, Boundless Charged, Redlined Jack.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there's a lot of combinations
That's a lot of points going into a cutesy package.
I mean, I wouldn't do that, but there are ones such as Strakov, who has Overrun, doing a Boundless Charge Overrun, and Superiority. So now you're, +2 when you charge, so you can charge 4, and then make another attack, so that's you speed 4, let's say speed 4 base, so 8, if it's 1 inch reach will be mean, that's 9, then you move another 6, that's 15 inches, it's pretty good. Oh, I'm sorry, they gain +4 inches of movement on his feet turn.
On his feet turn, yeah.
So, I don't have the math for that.
He goes downtown, but let's be honest, they were going downtown already. That's one of the things that Strakov always did.
Well, I mean, if you're going to use that logic, then you might as well just play Kane 0. They're going to shoot you from downtown anyway, so fuck it, what's another 4 inches?
Downtown.
Threat range and distance and positioning is the most important stat in this game.
I completely
agree. Anything that manipulates that is so powerful that people just don't appreciate.
I mean, I think some people are going to appreciate it, just not the people, that want to play. All right. Any final thoughts before we wrap up?
They're not broken, but they're inappropriate.
We missed what, Kevin?
We didn't really go over the Crix one.
Okay, we can go over it really quick. Sorry, my thing.
I mean, all you do is say Parasite. That's literally what she does.
So, Denegra, she has Parry and Stealth. She has Soul Taker, which is pretty good. Her weapons are Shadowbind. And she has Dark Seduction and Parasite. So
legitimately the thing on the Denegra one that I think I liked the most was, unlike why have I already forgotten his stupid pirate name?
Aikos?
Shay.
Aikos.
Shay.
Yes.
It's Shay.
No,
it's
Shay.
Shay now works for Crix.
He was press ganged into it.
Whereas and maybe this is a statement towards Herman's, focus the power in. Iacos's battle group is more like his spells and stuff like that is more like what can I do to my battle group, whereas Denegra's is like what can I do for this entire army? Because yeah, Parasite on a stick, that's the thing.
Well, the flip side of that is that a lot of people are arguing that she's the most balanced because she is almost basically just Parasite on a stick. And when you look at that compared to you look at Sevi, who is everything in the army +2, +1, and movement increase, or you look at, again, Sorsha, who's got no knockdown and concealment and boundless charge, like and. It's the amalgamation of abilities that they bring versus the point cost that you pay, which is going to be free. So I think that's what makes her actually people more tolerant of Parasite on Denegra, which is hilarious because, we've been bitching for 10 years about Parasite.
Yeah.
She has a singular purpose rather than a whole toolkit.
Yeah, I'm trying to think where, I guess it also will depend on what list they or what themes that they or allow her to take her in. Because I'm
if you're wondering if she can be taken with Gaspy Slayer spam, the answer is yes.
That's kind of where I was. I was trying to pull it up in War Room real quick to see because
Not only that, but she actually fits in pretty perfectly. It makes a beautifully symmetric list. It's very tidy.
Huh. That will be interesting. I think it'll also help if she can be taken in the statistics list, just because I know a lot of people are concerned about statistics hitting power.
No, she can only be taken in 2 of them, the Jack one and the Mechanothrall one. So, but if you take Scar, then you're swinging POW 12 points.
All right.
I think
it's about time to wrap this one up.
I mean, I guess the only thing I can say is in closing is I like the concept of another battle group. I was making a joke at the shop yesterday of it's almost like it's getting to the point where Warmachine now has the opportunity to play the zoo list, where it's like, here's my caster and their battle group, and then I have this junior with this battle group, and this junior with this battle group, and this junior with this battle group, and I play all the battle groups.
You and I need to play more, because I do have Rask Super Friends for you.
Or
sure.
you could play Signar and play with 5 journeymen out of theme.
The difference is that mine's balanced and yours is cheating electric
The
swan.
difference is that mine can get up to 45 focus in 1 turn. Yeah.
Yours can't get up to anything if you sell it.
That's true.
Sounds better and better.
And and to be honest with you, I don't think he's getting up to any focus. He's getting up to Fury. Because he uses Fury.
And on that note, good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.